Hi again, everybody. I'm Bill Phillips. It is the 9-minute Phill-Up. We are getting started here. There's the clock rolling. Who's this guy over here? You guys know him. He is Paul Gianamore, reporter extraordinaire and a producer extraordinaire here at WTOV9. And today he is our first making history today, Paul. Making history. You are the first in studio, the Nacho Man Digital Content Center studio guest as we get ready for, well, it's what is the greatest spectacle in sports?
The greatest spectacle in racing.
Well, it could be sports. It could be sports. I'll tell you what, when they fire up those engines, it's pretty spectacular. All right, now before we get started, because we're going to talk about the Indy 500, we'll talk about some other things. But right now, I want Back Home in Indiana in your best voice, best Jim Neighbors voice.
Back home again in Indiana.
Okay, that's good for now. That's good. I know you do. That's that's the traditional song that they sing. Jim Neighbors, who used to play Gomer Pyle, if you don't know who Jim Neighbors is, and if you're younger, you probably don't know who Gomer Pyle is. But he would sing that song. That was his tradition to sing that song at Indianapolis. But before we get to the Indy 500 and we talk racing, we're going to talk a couple of big things that happened in the last 24 hours. One of the big things, NFL draft. Oh wait, we have to say hello. We have to say hello to Tracy and Karen. Karen, good morning. Tracy, good morning. It is a beautiful day. It is a beautiful day, Tracy. Thank you both for joining us. Jordan is our in the Nacho Man Digital Content Center producer today. She's in charge of running this shindig, making sure we get everything goes on the road the right way. So, anyways. Tracy, Karen, thank you for joining us. Anyone who makes a comment, we'll pop them up. Greatly appreciate you guys listening. Greatly appreciate everybody. It's a great day. I'm just moving this out of the way for our sponsor back there, Senna. Don't want to cover up the logo. Mindset to Wellness, Cambridge Wellness Co-op, and Senna. Three great mind. But you have, from what I understand, visited there.
Visited there. A great place, great people. They head to toe and inside your head.
There you go.
Anything you need is right there. Beautiful place.
Well, beautiful place. A lot of people love it more than life itself. The Western Pennsylvania, greater area of Pittsburgh. And the reason why I bring that up is the NFL draft in 2026. Paul, move your mic closer. Thank you. That's why Jordan's here. Make sure we can hear.
I thought we were going to have to strap her down again after the draft announcement.
Yeah, she was very excited about the draft. So, anyways, NFL draft, it's something the city of Pittsburgh has worked on for years. It has been going on for years. They've been trying to get the draft to come to Pittsburgh. That is going to happen in 2026. They say that they will use Point Park, they will use the stadium, and they will fill the place. They had 250,000 people in Detroit this year. I had to turn people away in terms of going in to the draft site. Are you excited about this, Paul? What do you think about it? You've been covering this area forever, your whole life.
I'm fired up about that, actually. I mean, it's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm trying to figure out, hopefully we get good weather. We pack Acrisure Stadium, and it just turns into a great thing. Landon was on this morning talking about how, hey, you don't make the Steeler fans too angry or you might get beat up. I hope people keep their heads about it, recognize what a big deal this is for the league and the city.
I think it'll be a great event for the Pittsburgh area, the regional area, as people come in from all over the country, all over the globe, really. People come in from all over the place for the NFL draft. So that's the NFL draft. College football announcement today. If you're looking to watch games somewhere else other than ESPN, TNT and ESPN have come up with a deal. 5 years. TNT will broadcast the first two games of the playoffs each year, and they'll add additional games as they go. Really not that big a deal in terms of TV. I mean, we'll find the games no matter where they are. The big deal is that there are more teams in the playoffs. There are more chances for other teams to get in and to win. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. Quickly in the NBA last night, Dallas wins. They're up 1-0 over Minnesota in the Western Conference Final. Tonight, Boston tries to go up 2-0 over Indiana. They won in overtime the other night. NHL hockey in the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. It's the Rangers falling in Game 1 in Florida 3-0. Now tonight, Jordan's Edmonton Oilers. She is a Penguins fan, but she is all about the Edmonton Oilers. They'll be taking on Dallas. How about this for Dallas? Hockey and basketball. You think of Dallas, you think of the Cowboys, maybe the Texas Rangers, but hockey and basketball? And they have two teams that could go to the finals.
How upset is Jerry Jones? Is the one question I have
Very jealous, very envious. I'm sure he is. Well, anyways, we have that. And then we're going to ask a question for everybody out there. Put your thinking caps on. I still need the arm to my glasses. I'm working on that. We're working on that. So anyways, today, a national day calendar, Paul, we're going to get to the Indianapolis 500, I promise. Taffy Day, saltwater taffy, invented back in 1883 in Atlantic City. Boiled sugar and butter. That's all it is. Then you start to stretch it on those things. So you can still get taffy. You see it in the summertime every once in a while. You like taffy?
Love it. Did 4 out of 5 dentists approve the invention of this, though?
No, 5 out of 5 said no, don't do that. No, and then the 6th one said yes, please. I'll make some money. Yeah, I get that money in. Speaking of money, it's Lucky Penny Day. Now, here's the question I have for everybody. Now, back in the day when pennies were first invented, and Benjamin Franklin did everything. He did everything. He absolutely did everything. He invented the first, or designed it. He didn't invent it, but he designed it. Size of the first penny was about the size of a $50, and it was pure copper. So people would pick them up, and it was a precious metal. So it actually was worth some money. That was back in 1787, and then in the U.S. Mint, it was done in 1793. So it became a smaller coin. It was still copper, and here's the deal: penny, the value is not really there anymore. It actually costs more money to mint them than it does to use them. But in 1943, the 1943 D Lincoln bronze penny sold for, get this, Paul, $1.7 million. That's a lot of money. A lot of money. So what happened was, because it was a precious metal, people saw it. They thought, oh, I'll pick up the penny. It'll be good luck. Well, here's the question. I had always heard that if the penny was head side up, so if you see Abe's head, Abraham Lincoln on the penny, if you see Eb, who's Eb? Abe.
Was from
How about Abe?
Acres,
Yeah, it was. That's what. If you see an Eb penny, it's not real. Leave it alone. It's kind of like what they said to Buddy the Elf when he went to New York. Buddy, the gum stuck under the tables. It's not candy. It's not for you. Just leave it alone. So Eb, or Abe, as we like to call him, if he is heads up on the penny on the ground, you could pick it up for luck, right?
Okay.
Now, if it was tails up, I was told you leave it alone. You just leave it alone because it's not good luck. So my question is, would you leave it alone? So that's a question to all the people out there. Would you pick up the coin or not pick up the coin? Okay. Love strawberry taffy, vanilla. Karen, thank you. We're working on Paul's microphone. Apparently, a little bit of an issue. So we'll work on that. You have to, Paul. You need to project.
How about now? Project? Am I not projecting enough?
No, I hear you.
I'm trying to play to the back row.
I see that. Well, we're going to get that fixed before we start talking about the Indianapolis 500. So that's the question for everybody to think about. Tim, we want your answer on that one. If the penny is on the ground, heads up or tails up, do you pick it up or not pick it up? Where are you going with that? So that's a question for everybody. Karen, pick it up, pennies from heaven. I like that. Jessica, heads up, pick up. There you go. But if it's tails, you're not going to mess with that? Is that where we're going? So that's what's going on with pennies from heaven. So you guys think about that. Comment if you would like. And we are going to get ready to talk. Here we go. All right, Paul. Indianapolis 500. Now, here's the great thing about this race Sunday. It's not just the Indy 500. It's not just NASCAR. It's a combination of both. You have Indianapolis starting at about 11 o'clock in the morning. Right. It's exactly when we'll start the coverage on WTOV9. And that will be at the great Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I have been there. You've been there. Now I was on the track actually. It was before a Steelers game, and we went to take some shots. And they had the Christmas lights. They have Christmas lights. Yeah, if you ever want to go to Indianapolis, you go around the track and you see the Christmas lights. Yeah. You're going at about 5 miles an hour. Not quite as exciting as the 240 or so miles an hour everybody will be racing around. So we have that race at 11, and then at 5:30, you switch over to Fox 9. NASCAR shows up, and you have the Coca-Cola 600. Now, we're going to talk Indianapolis 500 because Paul is an Indy guy. And I'm going to start with this. I'm going to put you right on the spot.
Oh, here we go.
Greatest Indianapolis 500 you've ever seen in terms of just the finish, the overall race. What's your recollection as best race?
There are a couple of them. I mean, when Al Unser Jr. and Emerson Fittipaldi got together in turn 4 with a lap to go, and Emo kind of bounced Al Unser Jr. into the wall and won his first one. It was 89, I believe. That was ranks right up there. Gordon Johncock pulling out the hair splitting victory back in '82. There are a number of them. 67's first one I remember, and that was AJ Foyt coming around on the last lap. The turbine car had been doing all of its magic all month. It breaks with a few laps to go. AJ's leading. It would be his third victory, and there's a massive crash on the front stretch. There's smoke, there's fire, and from all of it emerges AJ Foyt's car just crawling along over the finish line. That's to me was just awesome.
Okay, AJ Foyt, first man to win 4 Indianapolis 500s. Is he the greatest driver? Castroneves this weekend could go for number 5. Chip Ganassi, the greatest owner. Is it Penske? There's a lot of questions here, but AJ Foyt, it's just, and maybe it doesn't resonate as much as it used to because it's just
time has
passed. But I remember as a kid, if you said AJ Foyt, he was the best.
That was it. It was AJ Foyt or Mario Andretti when we were younger. They were synonymous with IndyCar racing, but it's an interesting year this year. There's a lot of talk about rain Sunday in Indianapolis. And when you were talking about us having both the Indy 500 on WTOV 9 and then the Charlotte 600 on Fox 9, we've got a guy who's trying to do the 1100, which hasn't been done for a while. Kyle Larson from NASCAR qualified in the Indy 500. From what I understand, very little practice. This guy goes out and busts off a bunch of 230-mile-an-hour laps without even trying. He's middle of the second row. 232 is his qualifying speed. Very little practice. Gets in a helicopter, gets in a plane, flies down to North Wilkesboro and runs in the All-Star race there Sunday night. Finishes 4th in that. I was really looking forward to him doing the 1100 on Sunday, but the rain could screw that all up. They're talking about.
We're not worried about the rain. The rain's not coming. We're picking up pennies for luck. There's not gonna be any rain.
I'm hoping Kyle's got some ebb pennies facing head up.
Ebb pennies. Those are the new pennies. They're the luckiest pennies you can find.
Point is, if he has to leave and go to Charlotte, they're talking about backup drivers who would take his ride. Tony Kanaan, former Indy 500 winner, retired.
Driver.
He could end up driving it. Also, the kid that got bumped out, Nolan Siegel, 19-year-old kid.
19.
Horrible week last week. I don't know if the car was bad, if he was nervous. I mean, he wrecked 2 cars in a span of 2 or 3 days. Got bumped out of the field. Graham Rahal took the last starting position from him. But they're talking about possibly bringing 19-year-old Nolan Siegel in, and that car would start 33rd.
You know what? He needs an Ebb penny.
There better be some ebb.
That's what
they need some ebb pennies out there in Gasoline Alley today.
All right, so we're gonna talk about the field, but Castroneves, that's my guy. I think I'm picking. I don't know how you pick against him. He seems like he wins every time.
Spider-Man.
He climbs the fence.
Going for number 5. Last win was in 2021 after not having won for 12 years. Helio is back in the field a bit. He's in row 7, middle of row 7.
Perfect.
But he's driving a Honda.
Okay. Why is this start?
See what happens.
Why is this start now? Everybody out there's going to watch that's watching today and taking in the 9-minute Phill-Up. Here's the question, and we're already into overtime.
We're into
we could be going 39 minutes today.
We've been under the yellow for too long.
We're gonna get Jordan's gonna get the finish flag out and go. Okay, wrap it up, fellas. You always hear about the start of the Indianapolis 500. And I know it's one of those things. It's kind of like the start we were talking about last week with Mark Patterson from Mountaineer, the start of the Preakness, the start of the Kentucky Derby. You have that much weight and speed and energy all combining at once. But what is it about that first turn at Indy that everybody is it just because guys can't hold their water, or they're just thinking, it's just a tough turn to ramp up the speed?
I mean, if you think about when you're at the track and you look down toward turn 1, it's literally turning left into a blind alley. It's a 90-degree turn. You can't see where it's going. Indianapolis is the only race that starts with cars 3 wide. Usually they're in rows of 2. This is 3 wide, so you're going to have somebody trying to get pinched out of there. And it's guys trying to win the race in the first 500 yards. It's a lot of factors.
They also drink milk at the end of the race.
Well, they drink milk.
You get 3 across, and then they drink milk.
Although I got to bring up one of the topics we were talking about. You talk about the subject of day drinking.
No, would never.
Jules Gu, winner in
what name was that?
Jules Gu, 1913.
Gu, okay.
G-O-U-X. He was driving a Peugeot, the first overhead cam 4-cylinder Indy car.
Peugeot.
Now, Peugeot, they used to come over here and run all sorts of
Mr.
stuff.
Goo was a little
back then.
bougie.
Well, he was. His drink of choice was not, Gatorade in 1913 and milk. No. During the course of the race, during pit stops, he drank 4 pints of champagne.
Okay.
Let that settle in. I don't think the Indiana State Patrol knew about this at the time or anything, but 4 pints of champagne
I'll tell you what, though,
while driving a pretty dangerous race car.
But over
back
500 miles, you sweat that out pretty quick, I would
That
imagine.
was the hope anyway.
Man, wow.
That was the hope.
All right. Now, one of the guys I've mentioned to you, and this is just fun for me. It really is. They might talk about. He might come up in one of the broadcasts on the race. But Danny Ungaius, he was my guy back when I was about 12 years old. It was I would see him. He always seemed like he was in the black car. And it was back in the day when they would push 200 miles an hour, and you'd just scratch your head and go, how does anybody go 200 miles an hour? Now they're going, what's the top qualifying speed? 240, 234.
They're hitting 240, 241, 242 at the end of the straightaway.
Unbelievable.
Danny Ungaius. Bill sent me to the record books to look this one up. The Flying Hawaiian.
Couldn't win it, though.
The only native Hawaiian ever to compete in the Indy 500. And this guy raced everything: motorcycles, dragsters, sports cars, Indy cars. He was in Formula One. He's the only guy to have competed with Dan. You want to talk about legends of the sport: Don Garlitz, AJ Foyt, Niki Lauda over in Formula One, and for our viewers who might remember him, Tony Stewart. So he spanned the generations, and he spanned the types of cars. In 1996, he was 54. He had been out of the sport for 9 years. They called him off the bench to drive a car for the late Scott Brayton, who passed away in practice crash that year. And 9 years out of the sport, he gets into the cars are completely different. He finishes 7th. So this guy is just talented. That's all there was to it.
Well, I have to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I really think we need to apply for a job in the pits reporting for you. I mean, it's just
there's
the wealth of knowledge.
There would be the dream job. There would be the dream job.
All right.
Yep.
Well,
yep.
All right. We're down to it now. We're down to it. Who are you picking in the 500 this week? Who are your top 3? Win, play, show, like we're at the Kentucky Derby, except we're in Indianapolis.
It is hard for me to play it by stats or anything else.
No.
By
need
favorites, 3. I love Santino Ferrucci driving for AJ Foyt, the number 14 car.
Okay, wait a minute. I just think you like saying Santino Ferrucci.
Santino Ferrucci.
There we go. There.
So
now it's coming out.
He's a Paisan by way of Connecticut, I believe, is where he was born.
Here we go.
So you should like this guy.
Here we go.
I hope it may have been Delaware, but it's New England.
Okay. Don't get my hopes up and dash him on the rocks because he's from Delaware now. Oh, goodness gracious.
But I think I would really like. He's outside of row 2. That's a good spot. He could certainly hang back and just wait for everybody ahead of him to break, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Also, we've got you got to pull for Helio. I love Helio. I want to see Helio win number 5.
You see history.
I know my neighbor Gary is into Takuma Sato. He's crazy for Takuma Sato. He's not doing too well this year. Also, I've got to give a shout out to retired Steubenville police officer Tony Pergolini. He is my man on the scene in Indianapolis. I get daily reports from him, pictures. We've talked about all the engine problems they've been having all month, and think they've got that all dialed back and solved.
Coming up.
Carburation Day. Of course, haven't had carburetors for about 50 years, but
I hear about it all the time.
2 hours of practice on Friday. It's the last time they get to touch the cars till the race. And they only had a couple of hours earlier this week. So, you qualify and then you barely get to see your car again. Okay. Kind of interesting. But
right.
Santino Ferrucci.
Who's your just long shot out of nowhere?
I would have to root right there for Romain Grosjean, the driver who almost died in a Formula One crash a few years ago. The man is called the Phoenix. I mean, if you've ever seen the footage of this crash, he shouldn't be here. Moved to America to race Indy cars, loves America, travels with his family in his RV, just a decent guy. Has a rough time in IndyCar. He wrecks people a lot. I'll admit it.
Yeah, okay. Well,
but I'm a fan. I'm
if I'm rooting for who am I rooting for again from Connecticut or Delaware, wherever he lives?
Santino.
Santino Ferrucci.
Santino Ferrucci.
All right. So if I see Santino, I'm going to say, Santino, stay away from this guy. He's wrecking people.
He could be.
All right.
It could
So
be.
over under on the amount of time for back home in Indiana, because that's going to be a prop bet for somebody.
Over and under on the amount of time.
Yeah, amount of time. Yeah. Well, they do it for the national anthem. I mean, you're not going to do the national anthem in Indianapolis. They sing it's lovely, but it's back home in Indiana.
Yeah.
What's the over under time on that? You're going over or under whatever the time?
I'm going over.
You going over?
I'm going over. Yeah.
Okay. We don't know what the time is. We haven't set a time. We're just going over.
Mr. Penske makes sure everything is run at his speedway
Chip
like
Ganassi.
it's on a clock. Chip Ganassi,
Local
Pittsburgh.
What do does he have any racers this year?
He's got his
Cashew Neff is still
stable of
racing with him?
cars. No, Helio is with a different team now. I mean, Scott Dixon's the guy I would pull for from
All right, I'm out.
from Chip's team.
I'm out on Helio.
Hey, it's the PNC Bank car. You got to pull for the local bank, right?
Chip Ganassi. I've talked to him a couple times. He's a very nice man.
Chip's a great guy.
Ooh, actually went to his house to interview him.
Ooh. I met him once, quite by work.
Did you see? We talked about chocolate chips.
Yes.
And I had to sit down to get through that one because those are one of the greatest inventions of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Chip Ganassi's house.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking about it. Take a seat. Unbelievable. I think there might have been a helicopter pad involved. I'm not sure.
I'm sure.
All right, you ready, Paul?
Wait, what we got?
Do we go out and back home in Indiana, or just recite the words, or
back home again in Indiana, and it feels like I can see the gleaming candlelight still burning bright through the sycamores for me. The new mown hay sends out its fragrance through the fields I used to roam. When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash. I need the Purdue marching band.
Well, we don't have the Purdue. We do have a big drum somewhere.
How
but we
I
don't have
for
the Purdue
my
marching band.
Indiana
Until next time, everybody.
home.
Thanks for joining us, Paul. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill, for having me.
And just enjoy. First of all, enjoy a very safe Memorial Day weekend, and for Memorial Day, obviously, our thoughts with all those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. But just have a great weekend, a safe weekend. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the races. And I'll see you tomorrow. I don't know where I'm going. I'm going to be here tomorrow as well. Paul will be here tomorrow.
I'll be here, but you won't see me.
Yeah, but you might hear singing of Back Home Indiana back in the newsroom. You never know.
And don't do the Jules Goo.
Yeah, don't do Jules Goo. No. And want to thank our sponsors once again, Mindset to Wellness, Cinespeed and Fitness, and Cambridge Wellness Co-op. Can't thank them enough. Can't thank everybody enough for being a part of this. Jim Neighbors used to sing it live at the 500. Absolutely. But did he sing it as well as Paul? That's a question.
I don't get goosebumps when I sing
Jeff Exline says, love the singing, Paul.
So
I think either this is it. This is your job. I'm going to get your job in the pits doing the reporting, or I'm going to have you singing back home in Indiana at the Indianapolis 500 next year. Might be a little too soon for this year, but next year I think we can make something work out. Well,
we'll take it.
All right. Sounds good. Hey, enjoy the race. Put your feet up.
Thank you, sir.
Have yourself a little lemonade. Oh, and if you have a victory cigar throughout the whole race, enjoy it.
Appreciate it.
Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Please join us for the Phill-Up. Greatly appreciate you being with us.